18 in a row that the DN Soopers have here.
That's the thing, right?
Make a little sacrifice.
The way I see
Pop it up to a casual 7 and just give them a chance.
If you're getting on a loss streak in the LCK, you're not really breaking any records because DNS have all that.
They have a monopoly on the loss streaks.
You can at least say they are the best at losing.
They really are. I mean, even Spenu Sonic Boom got nothing on the DN Soopers. Oh my goodness. All right, here we are. We're in the draft for game number 1. The Orianna, Poppy, and Locke all taken away, as well as the Vi. One of the very standard ones, I think Bard has been banned a whole lot as well, but often against specific players. The Jace is a very standard ban. And there is one more that's escaping me that's banned every single game, and then we just have catastrophe when it comes to the picks in these game number 1s, because so much is left up and available. Nocturne is often banned here.
Yeah, no, I think Nocturne, Camille, Bard are
that's the ones,
ones I'd sort of consider in this situation. What are HANJIN BRION going to do in this situation?
Just one of those would be fine. There we go, the Nocturne.
Out. Camille and Bard available, and a lot of people favor the Camille matchup into the Bard. But if you do just early pick Camille, they probably won't pick Bard into it. They could go something like Leon or Shen. They'll just go for the Cassiopeia. We've seen Syndra, Victor, a decent amount into the Cassiopeia specifically. Akali has also worked.
Yeah.
And Roma had some phenomenal Akali games earlier in the season. So.
Akali Lee Sin seems like a pretty fun lock-in.
Yeah, the Lee Sin denial as well, because Cassiopeia, Lee Sin has been incredibly popular as a duo. It's come through many times in the LCK so far, but it looks like they're going to grab that Camille first and foremost.
All right. Well, Camille going to be the lock-in. Will it be the Lee Sin here for the denial? GIDEON has also had a couple of pretty good games on the Lee Sin more recently. And honestly, for HANJIN BRION, it's been GIDEON or not for a lot of their matches. And honestly, it's been a little bit of not. I do like this, though, the Ezreal being locked in. That is just the bottom lane secured. Here for HANJIN BRION, it's Teddy and it's Ezreal. Ezreal is ridiculous at the moment, but it does give away the Lee Sin. And so it could be a little bit more difficult now for the bros. Oh, Lee Sin Shen. This is a very strong beginning of the draft for the DN Soopers.
Yeah, a lot of setup. A lot of teams liking the Shen into the Camille. It's Shen or Leona normally into that, so wanted to grab that before the second round of bans. The Cassiopeia Lee Sin has been a super powerful combo in mid-jungle. And this is not a fun game, really, for the Camille to play. A lot of things to catch you off guard. Now,
will it just be a counterpick for Roma?
I think it could be Skarner in the jungle. We've often seen into Lee Sin. They opt not to go for that. They go for the Xin Zhao instead. We've seen a ton of Skarner specifically into Lee Sin being very successful. Instead, though, GIDEON opting to go for the Xin Zhao here.
Does feel like a bit of a GIDEON special. He does like to play the Kanavi way with the Titanic Hydra first and really farm through the jungle very quickly. So he is going to go towards that this time. Now a lot of things are going to get removed, though. 2 solo lanes are what HANJIN BRION are looking for here after this next round of bans. And so maybe just protecting things that they might want to play towards the top side. I like the Cassante ban. Casting had probably the best Rumble game of the year only 2 days ago. It was unbelievable. It was beautiful to watch. And so I think angling for a Rumble pickup here makes a whole lot of sense for HANJIN BRION.
Yeah, Syndra ban comes out just to try and thin out what Roma can play into. We assume the Cassiopeia can still be flexed. We'll see what they go for here. I think there's enough picks available in the mid lane for Roma to be fine no matter what. And with it being Cassante and Ambessa banned, these are kind of the picks you tend to take in a Rumble nowadays. So will DN Soopers just ban away the Rumble here?
I think it would be the smart move. Unless they really want to protect Clozer, then an Akali ban should come in. But I'm looking at it. I mean, if HANJIN BRION get their hands on Akali Rumble, that is a lot of damage. Maybe doesn't necessarily fit the composition all that well, but the Vayne will be the one taken away instead. We haven't seen this get through to the second round very often, but like the snap lock-in of the Rumble is the most obvious thing that we'd ever seen in our lives.
And the thing is, I think this actually puts HANJIN BRION in a really good position, because normally you want to leave top lane till last for kind of pick, but they've set the Rumble up at a really good spot. They prioritize picking it, and it means that Roma gets full information before he locks in his pick. He knows that the Cassiopeia will be, we're presuming mid, but he just knows that for sure. So if he commits to a pick into it, he'll feel very comfortable there. He's looking to be the Yorick for DuDu, which is something we've also seen played in the Rumble. Definitely not the worst matchup. Yep. Can do pretty well. And if you get some momentum, can give him some trouble. So DuDu seeming like he's happy to let that one go.
Doesn't necessarily feel all that good in the early stages of the game. Yorick tends to outscale and then win sides. As the deokdam special with the Ziggs here could be the option, but instead Taliyah will be locked away, leaving things a little up in the air, to be honest, because that could still be Cassio Shen towards the bottom side, or it could be the Taliyah and Shen instead.
I'm not a huge fan of Taliyah into Ezreal. It's good into Camille. It really shuts down what the Camille wants to do, but you're never really going to be able to check the Ezreal.
Doesn't Akali have a good matchup into both of these? Kinda. I know the rocks can be annoying, but does often get played that way. Instead, will be the Anivia providing an extra wall here for Namgung. Kind of cool idea there. And that's what Roma is going to be playing. Let's see what Clozer is going to be piloting here, as his Taliyah has been fantastic, but so is his Cassiopeia.
I assume the Cassiopeia, and I assume they're playing around like Shen, Taliyah, and having Taliyah up against the Camille, even though obviously we don't expect Camille to lane a ton. Does help keep her in check in the early levels. And we have seen that Lee Sin Cassiopeia mid-jungle be really popular, but, you know, they could switch it. I think Anivia feeling really comfortable no matter what in this situation. And to be honest, for HANJIN BRION, feels like they have a lot of control here. They have the Ezreal who can play at range. They have the Anivia who can keep you at a distance.
Yeah.
And I really think for the side of DNS, they're going to need to get some early momentum around that Lee Sin pick and see if Sharvel can take over a little bit.
Yeah, and they've also got pretty good type coverage here with Ice and Fire coming from their solo lanes, so I imagine that's probably pretty good here for the bros as well. I think Ezreal has just been way too strong. To bring it back to a more serious note, the fact that Teddy gets to pilot this champion, moving into a late game where they've got Glacial Storm to play around, the wall that can be added to make everything so frustrating, plus the Crescent Guard, which has just been so incredibly powerful, even more recently with a lot of these more flimsy drafts, you could say, where the tanks haven't necessarily been picked as much. Let's get on the rip, though, ladies and gentlemen, for game number 1. All right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift for game number 1. The DN Soopers, backs against the wall. They need as many 2-0s as they can possibly find, and they cannot lose a match for the rest of the season. That is just a fact. And even if they drop a couple of games, I imagine things get more and more difficult. So getting as many 2-0s as they can, I think, is going to be the most important part. Thankfully, this is the Rise group, right? It is the bottom 5 teams of the league, so they won't need to worry about facing off against, you know, Halma-Life eSports and then just getting dunked on. You know, it will have to be either KRX Bro, Nongshim, or BNK Furex.
Yep. And I think a series win would obviously go so far here, but a game would... I think they have to lose 0-2 to be out. So if they win a game,
okay,
they're in dire straits, but they're still technically alive.
Oh yeah, based on this little thing. So if they get a game, then they can actually make it to -22.
Wow.
In that doomed scenario, and BNK Furex and KMDRX can both get there as well, with everything going well for the DN Soopers. So you're right. It does need to be a 0-2, I am pretty sure.
It's not the situation you're hoping for, though, if we're being honest, because when you're relying on other teams' outcomes, it could just easily go pear-shaped. If they just win consistently for the rest of the season, there's still a chance, I believe, that they could end up out, but, you know, hopes are better.
Yeah, basically win as much as you can, DN Soopers. I think that's probably just going to be the rule.
That's good advice.
Yeah. I probably should just join the coaching staff, really. I'm a genius. As Roma, I believe, just Mr. Cannon and Clozer Mr. Melee Minion. It's just all a little bit of a disaster here. Unless I just cannot see the numbers. Yeah, I just can't see the numbers on Roma's side. So that's totally okay. Did miss that one, though. Having a look here, Roma hasn't won a game on the Anivia yet, but has only played once. And the first picks, I think, are very important here for the DN Soopers because the otherwise stats are just terrible for everyone. But there is like a cheeky game win on a lot of these picks for the DN Soopers. So that's certainly something. As DuDu not going to be having a great time here. Gets slowed down momentarily, but the Harpoon stacking up is pretty scary. So we'll just have to give away a little bit of positioning here in this lane. Gideon already moving towards the top side as he does just get a ward over, spots the Krugs are missing.
Yeah, he was.
Sharvel's moving on in.
Because of the scrying orb, they knew where his position was. They were aware of him being there. So you can see Sharvel still apprehensively approaching his Raptors. Will be spotted by a ward here as well. So both junglers having a decent amount of information on each other. And they'll assume that Gideon just recalled since there weren't any camps up for him to take.
Oh, Teddy, Arcane shifting forward, deokdam burning down, one more tick, and there he goes! Namgung picks it up, and that is first blood over to the bros.
Not sure how that started off. I mean, obviously we talked a bit about how Taliyah into the Camille has the Unraveled Ear to keep her in check, but I think one of the problems is specifically into Ezreal. He's just always going to Arcane shift forward, and you don't have a great response. It's very hard to put a seismic shove onto him. So I'm assuming we'll get to see exactly how that transpired in the replay, but not a good start for the DNS bot lane.
And also it's Teddy with teleport as well, so he can actually match.
Oh, yeah, the double slow comes through, and then Peter goes for the taunt on his Teddy, but it's just unfortunately too late at that point.
Oh man. HANJIN BRION off to a brilliant start towards the bottom side of the map. And this is the Ezreal lane. This is like, to add an insult to injury, this is the champion that has been carrying so many games over this week.
It's also the champion that I just really don't see great answers from DNS for, because Ezreal into Yorick, the cage, does nothing really to him. It's very hard to hit a Taliyah combo on Ezreal. You outrange Cassiopeia. The only real solution is Sharvel and Peter get on top of him, but that's not an easy task as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be Taunt Flash. Like, I think Taunt Flash is the only semi-reliable way to get on top of Teddy.
If you're in range of a Taunt Flash, then, and you know that Peter has Flash, then you were kind of misplaying. So, with how insanely good Teddy has been on Ezreal, I think if he gets fed, this game might be just extremely hard to play. So, him having that early start, at least he wasn't the one to get a kill.
Yep.
Comes back to lane with Cold, Tear, and Longsword.
Well, that doesn't feel too bad, as it's been 772 days since we last had a bot lane Taliyah, and it was the Kwangdong Freaks, actually, that then became the DN Soopers. It was Leaper, when I believe he took over from Taeun for a little while on that roster many years ago up against Gumushi. So kind of nutty, as Roma's going to have to flash away. Does manage to get a cheeky little stun onto Clozer. Namgung comes in, just eats some Twin Fangs before he gets out of there, but good flash to be taken here by the DN Soopers.
Oh, now looking for the Raptors here. It's a good Glacial Storm to slow them down.
Yeah, Gideon will be able to get the big Raptor and then gets the knockup. Petrifying Gaze comes down onto 2. Crescent Guard to try and keep them alive. Peter getting taken down solo as Roma locks down the kill. Gideon looking worse for wear, but the DN Soopers, they cannot answer the teleport. Casting comes in and says, break it up, fellas. This one's over.
DNS, honestly, that looked good initially, but just not able to get the damage through, not able to finish off these targets, and Gideon hit level 6 makes such a difference. So we see here, Peter flashes forward, and then this great Petrifying Gaze. Unfortunately, the follow-up just isn't quite there. Peter gets melted during the Glacial Storm, and Sharvel realizes he doesn't have the cooldowns to follow this through.
All right, well, that is some continued bad news.
I'm not sure what happened to Peter's taunt there in that situation, because he flashed in without taunting, and then I thought he was going to taunt off the double Petrifying Gaze, but maybe he got interrupted by like the Zhao ultimate.
Look, I don't think I'm equipped to understand the machinations of Peter's gigantic brain, all right? So I'm just not even going to attempt to make sense of it, because I play things in 2D while he's in like 11D, I'm pretty sure. And I can't see the dimensions. As DuDu comes on over and just shovels casting momentarily. Oh, okay. Getting some money from these ghouls, though. Certainly feeling fantastic there. It is a slight lead here for DuDu towards the top side of the map. We'll see whether casting gets any attention up there, because this one is going very well for the Yorick. And we know that if this continues, it only gets worse for everyone on the Rift if Yorick does just kind of get a free lane.
Yeah. Can be very frustrating to deal with, especially in the side lanes. Let's see what DNS do. I mean, they do have the Shen as well to play around, so I think DuDu having Yorick and Shen gives you a lot of power in the side lane. Now, Clozer's in trouble here, just got stunned.
Yeah, Glacial Storm just being frustrating, but does get cancelled here. Just a 3v3, they're eyeing each other off. like an ARAM with 4 AFKs.
Sharvel does now have the ultimate and has flash. Oh, big
that's amazing from Clozer. He is still taking a lot of damage, but down goes the Zhao, and Sharvel gets a kick flash. Roma just gonna get scrambled here in this mid lane, and the DN Soopers come alive and equal out the kill score.
Clozer so far has hit 2 petrifying gazes, pressed it twice this game, and gotten 5 stuns in total. That's an insane hit rate. And HANJIN BRION just kind of playing into it, not turning around, not getting the timing right.
Wait.
I don't think he'll kill him, but he will chunk him out a little bit.
Yeah, Namgung really wants to hold this wave and will successfully do so to allow Roma to make his way back. He does have the Swifties now. That's definitely going to be valuable, but he has a 30 CS deficit.
Yeah. This is a matchup that Anivia, even though obviously you need to wait for your ult to have the pressure, should feel good about. And they start off looking for this play on a Clozer.
Okay.
And then this petrifying gaze is just massive, with the miasma as well underneath, and the kick from Sharvel. This is just beautifully played.
And an egg just never survives into a Cassiopeia. Either there is always spell to be pressed in order to take that one down. So
Snakes do sometimes eat eggs, that is a thing.
Yeah. And now Clozer is kind of the hope for the DN Soopers, and honestly, this is what the blueprint looks like if they're going to win. I know if you've been watching the LCK, you're like, winning? They don't do that. Well, they do elsewhere, and they did more recently to keep themselves alive in the Kesper Cup as well against this very team. And so Clozer might be on his way to building a snowball to try and keep their hopes for an LCK Rise Group victory and a journey towards the play-ins.
I mean, Clozer was a big factor in this matchup that happened in the Kesper Cup when DN Soopers came out ahead.
Yep.
And HANJIN BRION have started the Dragon. They should be able to pick this up. Will DNS be able to get any exit kills is the question.
Oh, as the Hextech sweep, Sharvel is going to land the Q. Hookshot comes down. They do just manage to stun out Clozer, but Peter grabs the kill onto GIDEON. He's dead yet again as Teddy forced to flash to get out of the way of that seismic shove. Missing a few buttons here as they get engaged on, and Teddy will be taken down as well. It's 5-2. The DN Soopers have a gold lead.
Such good target selection there. And Teddy on the Ezreal, typically so safe, so hard to deal with, ends up getting caught in the middle there, unable to get away. Unable to disengage from the situation. Roma fishing there, but won't find anything.
Oh, man. This is getting very interesting very quickly.
Peter already has the Zeke's Convergence and has his ult available, so even lower cooldown. Namgung will jump at deokdam, but not really going to be able to achieve much there.
Yeah, just barely not able to find the stun. Don't know whether it really would have mattered all that much. It does have Halo Blade, so a couple of cheeky autos could have chunked him momentarily. Let's have a look at this one more time.
It felt like HANJIN BRION were hanging around looking for the fight, but DNS just decimate the Zhao, and then they chain on to Teddy, and Teddy's trying to kite his way out, flashes the seismic shove, but Clozer's doing so much damage, shreds Namgung as this is happening, and you can see Teddy kind of posturing, looking to dodge the Sonic Wave, and Sharvel just ward hops in, starts auto-attacking him, makes it pretty much impossible to miss, and Teddy ends up going down. Just a great team fight from DN Soopers, and looks like they got everything together just at the right time.
Exactly. I mean, better late than never, I guess, is the aim of the game. As Casting will be able to de-maiden DuDu here, I'm pretty sure, with another Flame Spitter, and there it is. Wanted to be able to get the minions as well, but DuDu does at least avenge a little with a decent trade. 2 seconds on the equalizer for Casting. That's going to make him feel a whole lot more comfortable there in that lane. And I think Casting's going to be the savior if they're going to have one here on the Bros side. They're going to need him to come down and have one of those incredible equalizers like he had in the previous series. As Clozer, huge target on his back. That Rod of Ages almost about to be completed very early on in this game. Already has that quest completion, so those Swifties are working quite nicely. All right, is there hope? And I think there probably is here for the Bros, with the fact that they do have Teddy on the Ezreal.
Hope plays in the LPL.
Oh, okay, that's my bad.
Yeah, but
I thought maybe we'd get another import, you know? We've got a Vietnamese one, maybe it's time for a Chinese one.
Could be, you know, and I think if there's any team that needs hope, it's DNS.
Very true. Although we were talking about hope for HANJIN BRION, because right now, there's a 2,000 gold lead for the DN Soopers. They're having a great time.
Yeah, and notably, gold leads across the board, not focused on a one person.
Oh dear. I believe Namgung is dead, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so I feel like the Ezreal in this situation feels very comfortable into this DN Soopers composition. The Camille, not so much, not at all, not even slightly.
No.
So I'm going into this one, having a tough time. And actually, he's even gone for the Celestial opposition.
Oh, wow.
On the Camille. We typically just see Bloodsong all the time. That empowered auto, the Sheen effect is obviously great on Camille, the extra damage. But Namgoon's like, you know what? I don't fancy getting one shot again.
Well, maybe he could get another one. Because it's not quite working in that last instance. Hopefully with another item or two, he'll be feeling a little bit better here. Probably still going to be going for the Sundered Sky as per usual, but just with a little bit more defensive capability. Teddy parked in this mid lane, trying to deal with deokdam. He's able to outrange the threaded volley quite nicely, and is still heading towards a couple of items on a decent clip. Has a CS advantage, and in fact, still has a little bit of a gold advantage as he managed to get a plate towards the bottom side and a little bit more. But GIDEON looking a little bit off here today so far with his couple of deaths. His death around the dragon, he hadn't even used his Crescent Guard before he went down. Just kind of exploded before that button even could be pressed. So hoping to see some better team play out of the bros, and especially out of GIDEON.
I'm going to moving around here, but Peter still has ult. He hasn't used it for a long while. So if they go in, he will just pop it if needed.
Yeah, DuDu is taking a lot of damage here as he gets the shield. In comes Peter, does have the taunt as Namgung will break his Hextech ultimatum, but it was kind of him with the problem. GIDEON will spot Peter out, but the back comes down. Wind becomes lightning just to interrupt DuDu, and in he will go. I don't know about this one though, as GIDEON does have to be careful of the Yorick.
And they fully committed so many resources down here, and look at the impact on the rest of the map. You have Clozer pushing in, he's going to pick up a plate off this tower. You have the Herald being secured as well. It does mean second dragon is going to come through for HANJIN BRION, but in terms of gold, in terms of closing down on this gold lead, it is not happening. It's getting further apart right now for these two teams.
It really is. 3.3k. We were talking about a 2,000 gold lead pretty happily for the DN Soopers just recently. That has only increased. As GIDEON just going to flash away. DuDu was making his way over. Peter was coming in. Didn't want to waste any time. Just gets himself out of there as, oh man. If the bros could have been rewarded anymore, I don't know how it could be. Because that is one heck of a soul for this composition.
Definitely is. So does give them a win con here. If they can stall things out, get some comeback fights, can definitely play towards that Dragon Soul. One thing I'll say is that GIDEON being flashless, we saw how in the earlier fight, if he gets focused down CC'd before he can even press any buttons, he does go down pretty quickly. He is already significantly far behind. And the fact that he now has no flash puts him in a pretty vulnerable position.
Somewhat precarious indeed. As Roma is the Anivia. We've seen the Anivia versus Yorick matchup actually not be that fantastic for the Yorick. The Maiden just tends to get caught behind a wall and dies. And that can be quite annoying, but isn't quite happening just yet towards the bottom lane. So the DN Soopers looking for their next point of attack. They do have Shelly still up and available. Maybe it is going to be around that first Hextech Dragon. I imagine that is going to be the one that the DN Soopers are really going to be fighting for. Not wanting to give away Soul Point, especially when it is such a powerful one.
Herald come down mid. They do a good chunk of damage.
Hang on a second.
So I think because the Anivia came in, Sharvel was like, well, I have to stop the charge. I'm going to try and turn it away. And Roma read it and just blocks him in the other direction. So they get to take out the Herald. This was a great defense play from HANJIN BRION. And if their goal is to stall the game out, play around these Dragon Souls, that definitely helps them a good amount.
Well, let's see whether they can stop bleeding gold, because right now that gold lead is only further extending towards about 4,000 as deokdam throws rocks towards Teddy. He's going to need to go back now. Has cashed in that cull, but you can see only about 100 gold in the lead is the Ezreal. And does he actually have the Manamune available just yet? If he can pick that up by the time Soul Point rocks around, then it's going to be a huge deal here for the bros.
Big spike, he can definitely look to carry with.
All right, there is the Petrifying Gaze. Casting is going to be flashing away. Peter making his way over. All right, going to need to be creative use of this equalizer, as at least these minions are going to go down. Still, it's a very comfortable dive, and Peter happily tanks that one up. Nice pick here for the DN Soopers, moving to 7 kills here in this game.
Yeah, great setup there by Clozer, and Peter just knowing his role, tanking the tower up. Had the flash as well for safety if he needed to flash a final hit. And in the end, just a kill picker for DNS, further extending their lead at this point. 2 minutes 15 on that dragon now. Teddy has bought the item, but doesn't quite have the stacks available.
Yeah, now that it is the Manamune, though, those stacks should come through pretty quickly. Only needs 63 before that is transformed. So just needs to keep pressing those buttons and hitting those minions.
Ideally hitting champions, though, as well is pretty good.
Yeah, that one's a better one. But there is a champion in the lane.
Yeah.
He can continue doing that. We'll have to keep our eyes on it. 12 stacks have been accrued since we started the conversation.
Yeah, I do think he just hit deokdam there with the amount of stacks he quickly got. Now they're looking again for casting.
Oh man, doesn't have equalizer this time, as there's the taunt flash from Peter, and nothing this Rumble could do. The DN Soopers are playing so proactively.
Yeah, they're just being ruthless, finding these angles to punish casting, and really, what is happening on the rest of the map? Gideon is farming his Grom, Teddy is farming mid. Just like they're taking the game pretty slowly in this situation. I know we talked about the win con off the Hextech Soul, but if you're going into that next Dragon fight 5,000 gold behind, I don't think your odds are very high that you're going to be able to secure it.
Yeah, I'm going to say that they are looking a little dire. As Teddy goes back, grabs himself some shoes. And, I mean, Teddy is still strong, but so is Clozer, and especially is Sharvel. My goodness, this Lee Sin is just getting massive right now. 305, 100% kill contribution. And this is the new guy on the team.
Yeah, he won't have it for the Dragon, but he's not that far off a GA at this point, which is crazy. 20 minutes into the game to nearly have 3 items on a jungler. Teddy is close to having it stacked. 30 seconds to go. 339. You really want that done as soon as possible, especially if you want to start getting down poke before the Dragon even spawns.
Ooh, would have wanted to hit that one, as True Shot Barrage not going to quite find any joy either. So, still looking for 18. Make that 15 stacks. 9 stacks! Teddy's so close. He's going to have that transformation, I think, by the time this one is fought for, or at least mid-fight. As deokdam snagged by a W. Namgung taking a lot of damage here. Every bit of poke is very, very dangerous, because the Bros really want to fight for this dragon. In goes Sharvel, though, and it looks like the Bros are not going to quite find an avenue towards this one. Look at the vision. Sort of everywhere here for the DN Soopers. As finally, I mean, the Bros are able to get some vision down in this part of the river, but the Drake is already going to be taken. Dash Cannon used there nicely by Roma. As Teddy does have the transformation now, but it doesn't help them with this Drake whatsoever.
This is not a window in, ultimately, and I think, honestly, it was the correct decision not to fight it, but it obviously slows down your potential win con off the Hextech Soul. And I think the main issue is just who is going to walk in and face check. Because if Namgung does, he just gets one shot. And you know what? If Gideon does, also just one shot. They don't really have someone
Roma won't get one shot right, because then he goes to egg.
True. Two shot.
He'll be 2 shot. Yeah. True.
So,
still not great.
Still not ideal. And especially, it feels a bit frustrating because you just hit this spike on the Ezreal that you'd love to play around. Not going to come to fruition. Obviously, Ezreal is still strong later. We've seen him many times carry in the later stages of the game. But right now, this game is very much DNS's. They're the ones in control.
Yeah. Well, the other option is the Bros let DNS get to a 10k gold lead and say, remember this?
Oh, no.
And just do it again. That could be the other option here. Try and play the mind game. Like, you think you're ahead? Well, I remember when you also thought you were ahead previously. And that wasn't great. Still, the Baron is going to get started up here. Spotted by the Bros. Gideon's trying to move over. Oh, tried to get over the wall there. Very, very cute stuff. Does have flash. He just waits it out. Tries to flash in and it doesn't work. Finally, the Crescent Guard is going to be used, though. The Equalizer goes down. Pretty good positioning as the wall comes in as well. Gideon knocks up Sharvel, or tries to, but Sharvel just gets himself out. And Namgung, he is really dead. Nice stun here from Roma. But the Bros are just bleeding players, and the Baron is already there on the DN Soopers.
Already secured the objective, and Bro just not able to turn anything around from that point onwards. They will get some damage onto this mid lane tower, but it's a very small consolation prize. TP coming in.
Wow.
The Cassiopeia, this is a crazy angle.
This is kind of mental. All right, well, he is just kind of getting burnt down. He has a Shen with him. Roma trying to survive. He does have egg. It's Gideon. Can you protect this egg here? And the answer is no. Sharvel gets in there, casting, taking so much damage. He flashes to try and kill Clozer, but then just gets shoved back. And the DN Soopers, I do not think they're throwing this one away. As Teddy trying to dance around the battlefield, but it is just not working. They are not playing his song today, as Namgung might be able to kill Peter with Teddy's help, but it's not going to help the game. And DuDu just having the best time on this Yorick.
Clozer just went for such a crazy play. Managed to make it work. And it kind of makes sense, right, with the Shen shield on top, the locket, the Seraphs, the rocket belt, the Roa. He is pretty bulky, but you don't expect the enemy mid lane mage to TP behind 3 people and make it out. But DNS, bit of craziness, a lot of aggression, and they are just extending that lead. 10,000 gold now.
Oh no.
Oh no. That's the number.
Oh no, that's the number. I do feel like perhaps this time they'll be all right, but we'll just have to hold for the moment. That's all right. First inhibitor turret under fire towards this bottom side as DuDu going to get taken down here pretty short, as the equalizer was there. True Shot Barrage does not snipe it, as now Sharvel's in a lot of trouble. Into the Hextech ultimatum, and now down to the GA. Oh no, Aux, tell me it's not so, as the miasma comes in. Clozer was walled off though, just could not get any damage down.
Just one kill, okay? They haven't thrown it yet. In fact, it's dipped under 10,000.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. 3,000 gold on the Rebel Baron power play. It's all fine.
Yeah, that GA that Sharvel just built, now going to be on cooldown for a while. And honestly, I think credit here to Roma for making this play work. They go for the setup initially onto DuDu, and he ends up flashing and is now just on top of the equalizer, gets knocked up on it. But if you look at what happens on the bot side of this fight, we see the Cassiopeia tries to come in, and Roma gets this great wall that just zones Clozer out. He tries to petrify and gaze, he just can't reach them. And this is kind of why you have the Anivia into the Cassiopeia. Really can shut it down when it comes to these team fights. Fortunately, the lane, the early game and the mid game,
yeah,
didn't go too well, but you can
maybe we just say the game.
There.
The game didn't go well.
Yeah.
But we saw in that moment, it was fine. Yeah, the idea, kind of okay, but certain things can work in theory.
I like the
practice,
concept of just
it can be difficult.
Putting Clozer in a timeout.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, you've been yelling at people and doing a whole lot of good stuff for your team too much.
Yelling, hissing at them.
Yeah.
So
it is a bit rude, isn't it?
So rude.
Is it a hiss? It's not a hiss. It's a shriek. You know?
I assume there's a bit of hissing going on as well.
It shouldn't make any noise though, should it? Because it's a gaze. It just looks at them.
Oh, well, the gaze specifically, but also like the...
Why does she have to shriek like that?
I don't know. Emphasis?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it's just for vibes. It's all right.
Maybe she tried it silently and it just didn't have
It just didn't feel the same. It didn't have the same oomph.
Yeah.
And I guess if you do turn off the sound of your PC, then it won't make any sound. It's all right. Oh no, they're getting closed in on here. But Gideon is going to turn it onto DuDu. He's taking a lot of damage and will be taken out first. The Maiden dead as well. As now Peter caught out. Oh no, the DN Soopers just messed up the timing. And now 2 of them are dead. Okay, at least they did manage to take the Drake away, so that's not something that the bros can pick up now. It is 2 apiece, but not again. Not again. Not again, not again, not today.
I'm convinced there are 2 DN Soopers. There is this team who can masterfully play out this early mid-game and build a 10,000 gold lead. And then there's this team who only exists when we say, oh, well, the game's probably done now. And they just slide on in and do things like whatever this was. They try and collapse in here onto Roma, but Gideon's hiding, waiting. And unfortunately, just HANJIN BRION are there faster. But this is pretty unforced play, ultimately. You didn't need to go for this. You didn't need to do this. You are very far ahead in terms of gold.
Yeah, it's it reminds me of, like, think about it, it's like you've got, you know, Federer. He has somewhere to be, you know, and so he gets to, like, towards the end of the 3rd set, and he's up, like, 2-0, and he's like, okay, son, take over. And maybe this is just not quite able to get it done. The analogy wasn't great, but I think you understood where I was coming from there.
I'm sure Woodid would have loved it.
I'm sure. I wanted to fit in a tennis reference somewhere. I don't even think is Woodid working today? I don't remember.
No.
I think it's Tuni and Wolf. I think.
Yeah, it is.
Spoilers, everyone.
Presumably, Woodid's watching from home.
Yeah, true.
As we all do.
Well, that one's for you, Woodid.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sharvel almost has his GA back up again. Still hasn't died this game. And is still in flying form. We do have a Void Staff done for casting. I do like it if you're very far behind, going for that as a second item. As the Seismic Shove does go a little bit wide.
You know what?
Eddie is still scary.
Namgung, he took the hook shot. He didn't go into the Unraveled Earth. And I just think that's a good decision.
Yeah.
One of the better decisions we've seen this game. So,
hey, Baron's being started.
It is.
And there's not a lot of vision here for the bros. Casting trying to clear some of it out. They do back away from the Baron, though, looking for a turn before they've taken the damage.
They backed away from it. You know why?
Why is that?
It's the hunting Baron.
Oh, no!
Yeah, I've got to watch out for that one.
That's a scary Baron as the Weaver's Wall comes down. Gideon has to flash to get out of the way of that Seismic Shove as Teddy trying to capitalize on some buttons being on cooldown. But it looks like the DN Soopers are not going to commit to any Barons from here. DuDu moves towards the mid lane. They have everyone in the area, but they're not going to risk it. Oh, man, that is a big spike here for deokdam, though.
Yeah,
Picks
big
up a pretty cool hat.
The thing is, right, early in the game was a 10,000 gold lead. Now it's only 6,500. And as the game progresses, both teams get more gold. It's a smaller proportion. So, HANJIN BRION feeling not as bad as they were earlier. That being said, that spike for deokdam being completed now is huge. You know, Teddy would love to finish the Sharvelders before this next dragon spawns.
Yeah, this is getting a little dangerous as Romer and Gideon are straying away from the safety of their base.
I was going to say it's just a blue buff, but they did buff blue buff. It now gives 20 ability haste after level 11, which is kind of crazy.
That is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why if you see teams throwing a game over blue buff, like, 20 ability haste, pretty good, especially on your Shen. That's who you want the blue buff for, not Clozer. More taunts per minute.
Well, he does have it. And the Baron has been started. There is vision there for the bros. They know this is going on. Let's see whether Gideon can make this one happen. Needs to get over this wall, but he doesn't have the flash. So the Baron will be secured. The question is, can they win a fight? As the Maiden gets a little bit confused, but will not be going down or anything like that. Teddy back over to this mid lane and will be able to lock that one down.
I love the setup from the DN Soopers. The fact that
24 seconds on this Drake.
They might not. Well, there is wards behind to TP, but no TP is available actually. Oh, Clozer gets caught here.
Oh, it's so dangerous. He spots them. Okay. I was looking worrisome. Okay, Drake, 10 seconds time. Wind does become lightning, but now the fight is breaking out towards the top side. Crescent Guard very early in this fight as Petrifying Gaze, not a massive amount of value, but Namgung is still going down. In they will go, decent double knockup, but my God, the damage. The Yorick picks up 3 already, and I don't think Teddy has the DPS for this. Casting's equalizer doesn't do much of anything at all because 3 of them just kind of died before any fight had a chance to start.
HANJIN BRION was so far.
Oh, that was a bit cute. Teddy able to arcane shift before Sharvel made his way in, though. These health bars again low. He's back again. Gets underneath these Nexus turrets and does go down to his GA. Teddy will be able to help push him away. But there goes the inhibitor, and the DN Soopers, they want to win it right here, right now. There is a fair bit of damage available out of the bros, but the shove onto the Rumble, and he'll be taken down. Now they just need to focus these turrets, and the DN Soopers have just kept their hopes for play-ins alive with a victory here in Game 1.
That's the thing, they just needed one game to keep their hopes alive. You know they're looking for this series. A phenomenal game from the side of DN Soopers. There was a couple of points where they threw away a little bit of their goal lead, but for the most part, they were controlled